I was sitting down thinking about some of the things that I would love to have known if and when I first started my apprenticeship, because the reality is, like, I really lacked confidence, especially when I did my first apprenticeship. Today was my last day at work. Even though I had some work experience, I was super scared of like being myself. I didn't know how to take up space. I was quite concerned about how I was being perceived. And anyway, the point that I wanted to or the topic that I wanted to talk about in this video is confidence. You deserve to be there. So I like it. I think especially in, the rise of social media and like constantly looking out for like what other people are doing. I'm literally filming in public. I've never filmed like this before. People are staring. It's so easy to compare yourself to somebody else. It's so easy to think that you're not good enough to be there. It's so easy to feel like, you're really lucky and you just happen to get the position. But the reality is, they actually chose you as a really good candidate outside of everybody else. It's more important that they chose you out of the hundreds, maybe even a couple thousand applicants. So if they think the people who hired you, your employers, think that you're good enough to be there, there's no reason, and they know the job better than you do. They know what is needed to fulfill the role that they've hired you for. And they think, having gone through this entire elongated recruitment process, that you were the perfect applicant for this job. So, not perfect. Nobody's perfect, but you're a great fit. So I think that's the first thing, like, you actually deserve to be there, and there's no reason for you to not take up space. That's the point number one. Well done, you're hired, you got the job. The second thing that I would say, you need to really build up your own self-image. Now, this is basically just understanding who you are, and I think that kind of confidence definitely comes with time. But I think spending some time with yourself and understanding what your strengths and what your weakness is, and cheering for yourself and pouring into yourself is extremely important. Now, the reason I say this is because there are a lot of people who, are insecure in the workplace. And I'm not just talking about the apprenticeships I've been in, I'm talking about the world of employment as a whole. You will encounter you might not, I hope you don't need to, but you are likely to encounter people who genuinely are so insecure, and they will try to tear you down because they don't feel confident, or the fact is they just don't feel like whatever they don't feel like. That's not really your business. But what I will say, and the reason why I mention this, is honestly because what you don't want to happen is when someone critiques your work or when someone cheers you on, that like your mood and your whole character changes as a result of external validation. Now, obviously, there's definitely some grace, like, if you've done a good job, pat yourself on the back, like, well done. And if your community is there to support you, well done. But what I'm saying is, it can be really harmful if, God forbid, you end up in a toxic workplace, or you have toxic work colleagues, or you have an unsupportive working environment where people are not able to see your work in a positive light, or they think your work is really good, but they're like constantly throwing negativity. That can really affect your confidence. So I think when you're able to pour into yourself and live from a full cup, it means that you're able to operate in a way that it doesn't matter what somebody else says about you or your work. You're able to take on the feedback as it is, or you're able to take on the praise as it is and move forward in a healthy way, rather than being really upset or hurt that somebody has actually told you that, I don't like the formatting or whatever. You could have a really healthy supervisor and they could just say to you
that I don't like the formatting in this, and you're just like,
oh my gosh,
the way she said it just kind of felt like she was out to get me.
When in actual fact, they gave very good layered feedback. So yeah, definitely work on that. The third thing that I would say is to find your tribe. There is real beauty in community. Sorry, people like playing football near me, so give me a sec. Finding your tribe is so important. Like, I genuinely would not have been able to do this apprenticeship with my tribe, with my girlies, with my family, like with people who pray and encourage. I genuinely would not have been able to get here. Your tribe should really be made up of people who are excited about your wins and not excited in the backhanded, like, oh, you just did that even though you know you were trash. Like, we don't need any of that bad energy around here. But what you need to do is surround yourself with voices and people who encourage and inspire you rather than people who tear you down, because you're already on a long journey as it is. So even being around like other people in your workplace who are super negative, like, you don't need to be around that. There's already enough work, there's already enough studying, there's already enough of life happening in the background whereby you actually don't need to focus on or be around people whose whole brand is negativity. You want to find people who are supportive and uplifting and encouraging, and people who are able to see the good in things even when you find it difficult to find the good in these things. Because at the end of the day, you will definitely at some point in your life go through things that are challenging, that are difficult, that are inconvenient for your studies, that need to have some kind of uplifting. And when you find your tribe, they can sense check you, they can hold your hands, they can carry you. And no human is an island. Like, you're not even supposed to live this life on your own. And this is coming from someone who, don't wash my nails, but this is coming from someone who literally, I live alone. I'm very much a homebody. Okay, that's actually not true. I definitely love hanging out with the girlies, but I do like being at home. I do like evenings to myself. I do like going out by myself. Like, I'm very comfortable in my own company, but there's also a place for my community in my life because it's unhealthy to do this apprenticeship by yourself. The next thing that I would say, this is honestly for anyone, is authenticity is what will set you apart. I remember a time when I kind of felt like I needed to say or do or act in a certain way to, I wouldn't even say fit in, but just to make myself feel more at ease rather than trying to gain the approval of other people. Or I would like break my back to do things that I really didn't need to do in order to gain approval, which was actually inauthentic to not only my working style, but just how I operate as a person. Now, there's nothing wrong with working hard. You're kind of expected to do that if you're working and you're studying at the same time. But when I say be authentic, like, you shouldn't need to, or you shouldn't alter yourself in a way that's so unrecognizable and inauthentic that it doesn't even relate to who you are and your core beliefs. Like, if you say that you're about health and you're about fitness, and all your work colleagues ever do eat 10 packs of cakes every day, handing out chocolates and sweets all the time, and you're partnering with them, like, that's inauthentic. Like, that's not even you. Like, you don't operate like that. You need to understand, like, what your core values are, what you really believe, and not what you think you believe either. Like, you need to actually sit down with yourself and recognize and understand what it means to be you and stick to it. And also, the next and final thing that I really wanted to say, I guess just like building your confidence in the workplace before I go into my final speech, my final rant, is you deadass need to have boundaries, otherwise you will fall apart. If you are a yes man, which is somebody who literally says yes to everything, they have this kind of, if you're on it, I'm on it kind of behavior, you can put yourself in a position that is very dangerous to your physical health, to your mental health, to your social health, even in some degree to your apprenticeship. Like, there is maturity in being able to say no and sticking to it and understanding why you're saying no. because you may feel like in the first few weeks you need to impress your boss, or you need to impress your supervisor, or you really want to stand out, so you're doing 10 extra courses before you do the apprenticeship to make you feel ready. Like, you don't need to say yes to all of that. If people are suggesting that, you know, you and your team go out for drinks after work and you don't drink, sir, ma'am, you do not need to do that. Like, drawing boundaries. Actually, there's a quote that I read in the book called Boundaries by 2 authors, but I forget the name. I only remember McLeod. And one of the things he says is, boundaries is where you end and where somebody else begins. And I don't think I would be where I am today if I said yes to everyone and to everything. And don't get me wrong, there was definitely a time in my apprenticeship where I said yes to things outside of work, inside of work, and it messed up my health. Like, I was super stressed, and then even when I took like a year to calm down, all of the effects of overworking and trying to do too much for everything and everyone caught up with me in a way that was detrimental to my health. So I'm kind of speaking from a place of experience that boundaries are there to protect you and the other person as well from trying to overwhelm you or overwork you without even realizing it. It will protect you from situations, and it will also situations that are compromising to your values, but it will also protect you from, it will also protect your time, your energy, your finances. Like, you as an apprentice, honestly, you're in such a privileged position, but you're also extremely time poor. Like, myself and Josie have said this on the podcast multiple times. You do not have time to be, you know, going to absolutely everything all the time. Like, you need time to study. And as an apprentice, as has been said on the podcast before, you definitely have the ability to rely on the fact that, you know, like, I can't do this or I can't do that because I'm studying, or I have this to do or I have that to do. Like, I wouldn't say that everything else comes, like, the apprenticeship is your number one priority and everything else comes second. But I am just saying that in prioritizing, inevitably as an apprentice, you're gonna have to say no to something. There we go. Anyway, I kind of want to just I just wanted to round this up by saying you deserve to take up space, otherwise you would not have gotten the job. And even if people are discouraging you at work, like, even if people are talking behind your back, if people are spreading rumors, like, you don't need to pay attention to any of that. You're there to get your qualification. You're there to... I'm sorry, it's so loud. But you are literally the only person who can make sure that you will succeed in this apprenticeship. Like, nobody else can do it for you. And one of the things I always say, especially in relation to boundaries and boundaries with other people, is that if you fail any of these exams, if you fail doing multiple pieces of work to a poor standard, like, who's going to do that for you? Like, nobody. You have to do it yourself. They hired you. They didn't hire your mate. They didn't hire your cousin, your neighbor, your brother, your cousin, your sister. They hired you. So I think there's definitely confidence to be gleaned in the fact that you got the position. That means that you have the capability to maintain and to flourish there. Yes, it may be difficult to have boundaries sometimes. Yes, you may be faced with challenging situations, but if you don't protect your peace, somebody else will enjoy your peace for their own benefit. So anyway, that's literally all I have to say. I hope that you found this video helpful, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.